Good day. It's certainly a pleasure to be back with you on the Health Beat Show. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson, and welcome to the Health Beat Show.
You have everything. Take my word, but I heard about the health beat you're gonna be. How you wanna be? Show me how it will be. How you wanna be? Show me how. Body and mind.
And welcome back to the Health Beat Show. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson, and welcome to the Health Beat Show right here in the James A. Watson Wellness Center. Today we have a wonderful guest with us, none other than Highway Patrol Officer, Officer Sam Morgan. Welcome to the Health Beat Show, and thank you so much for coming. There are so many issues that relate to your health nowadays that really are related to driving and to experiences in a motor vehicle. Of course, probably the latest thing is whether you should talk on a cell phone in a car. And we might as well get right to it. I think recently the laws changed, and the laws at this point in time are what as it relates to talking on a cell phone in an automobile?
Well, effective January 1st of 2008, motors who operate a motor vehicle, they must have a hands-free device if they're going to communicate on a telephone. So that means something like earbuds, a BlackBerry device, or some type of mechanism where they can talk on the telephone and still maintain both hands on the steering wheel. That's the intent behind the law. Because we find a lot of people, when you're driving, you're multitasking from the get-go. You're monitoring your speed, you're monitoring roadway conditions, you're monitoring vehicle systems, you're monitoring trying to get from point A to point B, and you have your mind on so many different things. And so we find that one more factor in the equation, such as trying to operate a cell phone, further bifurcates the driver's attention, hence they have less time to react, more distractions. And so with the rise of cell phones within our culture, we've actually found that we have more incidences of vehicle collisions where cell phones are related, and that's the intent behind some of the laws that have been passed. California is actually trailing because we have other states who have had cell phone prohibitions while driving much longer than California. Started this year, the enforcement side started January 1, however the law's been on the books for a significant period of time. And the enforcement time just started January 1. The initial fine is $20 if you are stopped, and it can go up higher for each successive violation. It does not count as a point on your record, but it does count as a moving violation.
So you would actually get a ticket for it?
You would actually get a citation for it, and you would be required to appear in court or simply pay the fine, whatever the driver wants to do. And it may impact their insurance rates because it is going to go on their driving record. Again, it's not a point that DMV assess, but it does count as a moving violation.
Now, Officer Morgan, actually you were saying that the law came on the books in January.
Correct.
But now in July is when it's really being enforced.
It's being enforced very vigorously by law enforcement personnel. We began July 1st actually enforcing that law. If we see a driver going down the road with a cellular telephone up to their ear, then the officer has probable cause to stop that driver and to issue a citation. The law is split in two different ways. One section deals primarily with adults, drivers over the age 18 and above. That can be the primary reason for the stop, meaning that the officer sees the driver going down the road, the cell phone is up to their ear, it appears they're talking. He or she, the officer, can stop that driver for a primary violation. The other side of the law is for drivers under the age of 18. They cannot communicate on a cellular telephone device irrespective if they have a hands-free device or not.
Oh, wow.
But however, it's a secondary violation. So therefore, if the officer sees a driver going down the road and they're speeding, they fail to stop for a stop sign, they make an unsafe lane change, they're following too closely, or they have a tail light out, a license plate out on the car, whatever the violation is, the officer stops for the primary violation. And then if during the course of his or her investigation sees the driver on the phone, then that particular violation can be added as a secondary violation for drivers under the age of 18.
Are there any modifications that DMV or other agencies are doing to help modify your automobile so that it's more safe at this point in time?
Well, in reference to the cellular telephone law, some of the vehicles come with communication devices that are compatible with cellular telephones. They have the Bluetooth systems already in the cars. And so that makes it a little bit easier for the driver to maneuver and use the cellular telephone if they need to. They also have voice-activated dialing commands where you can say dial home, dial doctor, dial whomever. And the cellular telephone or the system, through voice recognition software, records that and then responds to that command and then dials the pre-recorded number in that system. The interesting thing is this, is that when you're going down the road, you need to have your attention on the primary task at hand. In many cases, you're driving an automobile that's 1 to 2 to 3 tons going down the roadway. And so many drivers are distracted by the eases of things. We see individuals, women putting on makeup, we see men shaving, we see people reading books, we see people reading maps, we see people eating bowls of cereal while they're going down the road trying to operate a motor vehicle. We also realize that the traffic can change in a split second. One point in time, road is clear. Driver in front of you, maybe there's a stall, and now you're in a panic stop. Particularly at freeway speeds, you got to remember your car is going, if you're going 65 miles an hour, your car is going 90 to 100 feet per second. Average reaction time is 3/4 of a second to process a hazard, and then another 3/4 of a second elapses before the driver takes any type of evasive action. In that time frame, that second and a half, your vehicle has traveled 150 to 160 feet before you've taken any kind of evasive action. So these are some of the things at which we look when we're trying to have the roadways more safely. And the fewer things you have distracting you when you're going down the road, the safer of a driver you can be. Here's one thing that I tell a lot of people, a lot of the training classes that I do. A lot of people say, I'm the best driver on the road. Okay? If you are, by default, everybody else is not as good as you. And so you have to drive not only for yourself, but for them as well.
Defensively.
Correct.
Defensive driving. All right, we are here with Officer Sam Morgan from the California Highway Patrol. He's telling us about the new regulations and laws as it relates to utilizing cellular phones in the car, and also any other activity that might distract you, because I would think that motor vehicle accidents and traumatic injuries are amongst the highest causes of death for teenagers and people in their 20s. Is that right?
That is correct. Motor vehicle accidents are the #1 killer of teenagers between the ages of roughly about 13 to 23.
Yeah.
It's not gang violence, it's not drugs, it's not gun violence, it's motor vehicle collisions. And what we're finding that is that a lot of individuals who are just learning how to drive, it's not that they're poor drivers, it's just that they don't have the experience or the time and rank. And therefore they have not encountered the myriad of experiences and situations that one would encounter as a more seasoned driver would encounter. And so that's why we have special programs that we target specifically for new drivers behind the wheel, because the most dangerous time in a person's life is the first 2 years after they learn how to operate a motor vehicle. That's why it's a big deal for members of the California Highway Patrol and public safety in general. You talked about deaths behind the wheel. Another factor in that is that a lot of motorists are not properly restrained inside of the vehicle. And so that's why there's an aggressive click it or ticket campaign where we actually go out and we tag individuals, issue citations for individuals who do not use seatbelts, because in my profession I see far too many collisions where individuals worked using the seatbelt. They fail to realize that if the car is going 60 miles an hour, where they inside of the car are going 60 miles an hour also. When you're not properly restrained, you become a human pinball and start ricocheting off of the car's interior, or worst possible scenario, you're ejected from the vehicle. And when that happens, blunt trauma is usually the #1 cause of death in a situation like that. That's why we aggressively enforce that. We spoke about other new laws. One of the other new laws that's probably not as well known as the cell phone law is smoking within vehicles now.
Yeah.
If you are a adult and you have a person under the age of 16, you cannot smoke inside of a vehicle now. Doesn't matter whether it's moving or parked. And that's another violation that came into a law this year alongside with the cellular telephone law. And then another one that came on the law last year that we still see a lot of drivers neglecting to deploy is in inclement weather, when you have your windshield wipers operating full time because of rain, you need to have your headlights on for greater visibility. So there are a lot of little things that the drivers need to be made aware of, in addition to making sure the vehicle is safe, proper tire pressure, car in tune, proper brake, things like that, to just make sure that that motor vehicle stays a safe mode of transportation and is not transferred into a deadly weapon due to an irresponsible driver or a poorly maintained vehicle.
Okay, we're here with Officer Sam Morgan. We're talking really about your health, and we're talking about one of the #1 causes of mortality for our teenagers. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson. Stay tuned right here on the Health Beat Show. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson. Welcome to this segment of Fitness Facts. We've been working on our abs. We've been working on our obliques. We want to work a little bit more on the abs, and then we're going to be working on the booty. We're with the coach, and we are with Ms. Shamir Washington right here, 24 Hour Fitness. Coach, tell us a little bit more about how to work on the abs, and then also how to work on that behind.
Perfect. One of my favorite exercise is the bicycle. So I'm going to first show level 1, level 2, and level 3. Go ahead and lay flat on your back. This is a great way to start off these exercises if you haven't been exercising at all. Please don't go into the advanced exercises. Start with this level first. And go ahead and take a deep breath in first. Exhale and relax. Good, good, good. Perfect. And what we're going to do is gently bicycle motion. And go.
The great thing about these exercises that you've been showing us on Fitness Facts, you can do them all at home, or you can come down here to 24 Hour Fitness and do them. And they're not, it doesn't take rocket science, it just takes doing it.
Exactly. It takes discipline, dedication, and determination to achieve your fitness goals.
All right.
All right, that's level 1. Perfect. On these exercises, basically just keep a watch and see how long you can go. Focus the first time you do it for maybe 20 seconds. Build it up. The ultimate goal is to be able to do these exercises for 60 seconds. Let's go to level 2. We're going to go ahead and lift up on our elbows. If you have any lower back problems, this exercise you want to consult your physician first before beginning this exercise. And what we're going to do is gently go into that bicycle motion and pump and pump. Now remember to breathe. Take a deep breath in and pump and pump. Exhale, pump. Nice and strong. Keep those abs contracted. Keep them nice and tight on this exercise. Good. That's it. Go ahead and pump. Good. Level 2. And relax.
All right.
Now, my favorite exercise that I love to do with athletes and executives who really want to take it to the next level, such as Dr. Watson here, is the advanced level. So what we're going to do is the same exercise. The only difference is we're going to rotate from left to right on these. Ready? And pump. Good. Now go ahead and rotate those. Perfect. And pump. Nice and strong. And pump. Good. Nice and strong.
So this is getting both obliques and the mid-abdomen, huh?
Rock hard abs, baby. Rock hard
I
abs.
can feel it. I can feel it.
Rock hard abs. That's all we know.
You ain't joking.
Nice and strong. Good. And relax. Now, whenever you work your abdominal muscles, it's always important to go into balance. You must work the lower back to prevent injuries and keep your core nice and strong.
So, when we come back to Fitness Facts, we're going to teach you how to work out that behind. Stay tuned. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson right here on the Health Beat.
Nice.
Work that behind.
Work that behind.
Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine. I told Satan, get thee behind, 'cause victory today is mine.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. We're here with Miss Trenisha Golston from the 5-A-Day campaign that tells you to eat 5 fruits and vegetables every day.
Right, that's right.
Because that's the key to our health. Now, we have some fruits and vegetables. What can you tell us about the seasonal guide to fruits and vegetables?
Okay, well, if you're on a budget, it's always best to purchase fruits and vegetables when they're in season. And I just wanted to point out a couple of our informational brochures that the state provides us with. And for example, in the spring, we're looking at between April and June, you'll find bananas, apricots, eggplants, these types of things that are in season. And say, for example, in the summer, July through September, you have chives, you have scallions, you have onions, you have blackberries. And I want to point something out on here too. Now this is a seasonal guide for fruits and vegetables for fall, October through December. We're looking at bok choy, we're looking at broccoli, and in the wintertime, between January and March, we're looking at collard greens, which we have here on our lovely display. We're looking at mustard greens, kiwi fruit, tomatoes, and even red apples.
And that's when they grow or are most available during those seasons?
Yes, that's when they are in season, that's when they grow. And if you're on a budget, as most of us are, that's when it's best to purchase them. So you can make sure you have your 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables.
And so what you're saying is that all year around, these fruits and vegetables, and a variety of them, are available to us.
That is correct.
No excuse not to get your good fruits and vegetables. That's what it's all about, right here on Down Home Healthy Cooking on the Health Beat Show. Eat your fruits and vegetables. They're good for you. The victory will be yours. And we're back right here on the Health Beat Show. We're at the James A. Watson Wellness Center, where we educate the community about health. And we actually have students here at the James A. Watson Wellness Center. And who do we have with us?
I'm Sarah Smith.
And Miss Sarah Smith, where are you from?
I'm originally from Colorado, and I'm going to school at Samuel Merritt in Oakland.
At Samuel Merritt, and what kind of program is that, the Samuel Merritt program?
I'm in a physician assistant program.
Now, what's the difference between a physician assistant and a doctor?
So a physician assistant is a licensed healthcare provider who works under the supervision of a physician. So they work in conjunction.
They work very closely, and you can write prescriptions,
Yes.
and you can give shots.
Yes.
And you, like at this office, we have a physician assistant, Omar Staples, and we have a nurse practitioner. And how far are you in your training at the Samuel Merritt School?
So I'm in my clinical year. So my program is 2 years long, and the first year is mainly the classroom portion, and then we have a year of clinical rotation, and that's what I'm in.
And do you usually have to have finished college to go to a physician assistant program?
Yes, you need a bachelor's degree.
Okay, we just spoke with a young lady who is in a medical school, an osteopathic medical school, and you do have to go to college for that also. And I guess you have to take a lot of basic science prerequisites
Yes.
to get in. And can you specialize in any area as a physician assistant?
You can. Our training doesn't have a specialty per se, so we can work in any area, but if you choose to go into one specialty, you can certainly do that.
Are you finding that the schools now are having much in the way of diversity, and are you and your colleagues who are training here developing a better sense of diversity and ethnic sensitivity with the patients that you see here?
Yeah, I feel like at my school it's a diverse program, and then with our rotations they definitely try to place us in areas where we're going to be exposed to a lot more diversity.
I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson. We're here with Officer Sam Morgan from the California Highway Patrol telling us some very, very interesting things. We've talked some about the cellular phones and the issues with that, a little bit about seatbelt safety, click it or ticket.
Correct.
And now we haven't even touched on the issue of driving under the influence or driving fatigue. What is the level of alcohol that one would be arrested for while driving?
In California, if you have a blood alcoholic concentration level of 0.08 or higher, you're deemed impaired and can be arrested for driving under the influence. Here's what a lot of people don't remember, that you can be arrested for less than 0.08 if the officer, through his training and experience, can show that you were in fact impaired while operating the motor vehicle. So that could be your speed, that could be failing to maintain the vehicle within the lane, that could be like some individuals do where we may have an officer on a stop and the officer has his red and blue lights rotating and the impaired driver comes up behind that car and stops at that car and remains stopped thinking that it's a red traffic signal light as opposed to just the rotators on top of the car, another sign of impairment. Slurred speech, glassy eyes, inability to remember simple things, date of birth, date of the current time, where they are, things like that. Driving under the influence does not just include alcohol, it includes any substance that impairs your driving. So that could be illegal drugs, marijuana, cocaine, things of that nature. It could be the synergistic effect between marijuana, alcohol, and other drugs. But it can also be prescription medication. You may have a medical condition where you are prescribed a particular type of medication, but it affects your discernment, it alters your equilibrium.
So you could actually be arrested even if you have a prescription.
That's
for
correct. That's correct. If it impairs your driving, you can be arrested for over-the-counter medication. You go out, you have a cold, you take maybe something like NyQuil or a similar substance, Tylenol with codeine, which kind of slows your heart rate down and affects your alertness level. You decide, well, I just need to run out and do one more thing. For whatever reason, the officer stops you and determines that you're under the influence. So it's not just alcohol, it's any substance.
What if you don't do the breath alcohol test? What if you refuse that and you say, look, the person says, I'm not intoxicated, I'm not going to do that, you're just harassing me.
Okay.
What is the person considered liable? What's the situation on that?
In California, there's called the implied consent law. When you get your driver's license, you agree to submit to a blood, breath, or urine test to determine the alcoholic content in your blood. If you refuse that, which you can do, then the license is immediately suspended. People fail to realize that now, if I'm making my livelihood driving, now I've adversely impacted my livelihood. If I get stopped for DUI, what else? I have court costs. That's money out of my pocket. If I'm convicted, I'm going to see higher insurance, automobile insurance costs. And so there's kind of like a ripple effect that a lot of people really don't take under consideration. Then if you work in an area of employment where you have to drive, a lot of employers don't want to hire you to drive if you have a previous conviction of driving under the influence. And so it's not just that one-time stop where you're contacted by the officer, you go down to the jail, you're booked into the facility, and then you get out within 4 hours or something like that, and you have the court time, you go on about your business. A lot of times it has a long-term effect that a lot of time people don't realize. One of the things that we talk to drivers, particularly myself, when I stop them, they're involved in activity that is less than honorable. A lot of times individuals like to say, well, what about the other person? In our office at the California Highway Patrol in Oakland, we have 2 statements posted on the sergeant's door. One is, action has consequences. And the second statement is, you alone are responsible for your own actions. And so it becomes a time of taking personal responsibility, and with the knowledge that I have, can I do anything to mitigate the circumstances? If I know that going out, operating a motor vehicle while I am under the influence, is going to have such a long-term consequence on my life, would I do anything to alter that behavior to mitigate or cancel out that circumstance? We talk about drowsy drivers. Drowsy drivers can be just as dangerous as a person under the influence. You have a phenomenon what's called highway hypnosis. You've been driving for a long time, and you begin to see things on the roadway that are literally not there from fatigue. And so if a person has been operating a motor vehicle for a long time, beginning to get a little bit drowsy, what do they need to do? Pull off of the roadway. Do not stop on the side of the freeway. Pull totally off the freeway into a well-illuminated area. Parking lot, gas station, someplace that's well illuminated. Get out of the car. Maybe do some jumping jacks or something to get that blood circulating. Take some deep breaths. Or if need be, just pull totally off the road in a safe spot and just get some rest. Because you got to remember, you're operating a motor vehicle, and you don't want that motor vehicle transformed from your safe mode of transportation to a deadly weapon that adversely affects your life or the life of someone else.
Right, and so we're really talking about health when we're talking about operating a motor vehicle. We're talking about something that really takes the lives of so many people in the state of California, particularly children and teenagers. Now, can you tell us, this information has been so valuable, and I'm learning a lot. You're never too old to learn. How could one get in touch with you or with someone from the Highway Patrol Department so that they could get an educational presentation like you've given us right now?
There are many ways you can do it. Number one, you can contact our website, which is www.chp.ca.gov. And that tells you everything about the organization. On that website, you can look at the areas for special programs, such as Start Smart program, which is primarily geared for younger drivers just starting out learning how to drive. It's a defensive driver program. You can learn about the Every 15 Minutes program, which specifically deals with youngsters dealing with alcohol, driving with alcohol. You can talk about the Right Turn program or the mentoring program. Or you can just simply call your local CHP office and ask to speak to the public affairs officer. Someone like me will be more than happy to sit down, discuss whatever kind of program they're interested in. We go into all type of venues, whether it's a venue like this, on the Health Beat Show, or we go to high schools, we go to community groups, fraternal organizations. Doesn't matter with the Highway Patrol, because one of our roles is to educate individuals. Mm-hmm. Our job boils down into three particular areas: safety, service, and security, through education such as disseminating information so that people can become more aware. Second one is enforcement. That's probably the best known way people know us. They see us on the side of the road. We're handing out what we call a notice to appear. I call it a yellow souvenir. And through that, it's a good way to modify behavior or bring to the attention of the driver that their behavior or the way they're driving the vehicle is unacceptable. The third way is through engineering. A particular roadway has a lot of areas of crashes. What the Highway Patrol does is goes out and documents that, forwards it on the Caltrans. They look at the design of the freeway, and from that, if it has a high incidence of collisions, then they can modify the design of the freeway to reduce the number of collisions in the area.
All right, well, we have been here with Officer Sam Morgan, giving us a wonderful wealth of material from the California Highway Patrol. We thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I've learned a whole lot, and really, I always say that if you knew better, you could do better. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Watson. Remember always that your health is your wealth, and when you have your health, you have everything. God bless.
You have everything.